Welcome back to Empowered and Out, the podcast where we celebrate authenticity, identity, and unapologetic self-expression, especially in places where it's been silenced or hidden. Today's conversation is one that cracked me open in the best way. I'm joined by Maria Elena, a transformational life coach, energy healer, and family constellations facilitator whose work centers on confidence, identity, integration, and self-love. But more specifically, Maria Elena has created a powerful space of healing and visibility for a group we don't nearly hear enough about, crossdressers, particularly cisgender heterosexual men who are learning to embrace their feminine expression without shame. Her viral video, Crossdresser, A Gift for a Woman, touched millions. And today, we're going to go even deeper. We're talking about what it really means to feel safe in your identity, the difference between confidence and wholeness, and why emotional safety, not just visibility, is the key to true transformation. If you've ever felt like you had to hide a part of yourself to be accepted, or if you're curious about what it means to truly welcome yourself home, this conversation is for you. Let's get into it. Maria Elena, welcome to Empowered and Out.
Thank you
I'm
for
so glad you're
having me.
here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. My pleasure.
You are very welcome. So let's just get started with what pulled you into this, the work that you do. You're a transformational coach, family constellations facilitator, and energy healer, but you've carved out such a unique and powerful niche supporting crossdressers. What led you to this calling, and how did it become such a personal mission for you?
The moment I decided to work with the LGBTQ plus community, if I got to tell you the truth, I never thought about cross-dressers. So somehow they found me, and they found this safe space to be themselves, this non-judgmental space where they can express freely. And the first moment I started working with cross-dressers, I understood this is my place. This is the way I have in this world to share my love and my understanding, my support to this very specific group of men that sometimes are so misunderstood even inside the LGBTQ plus community. So life brought me here.
Great. So the viral video that I talked about, Crossdresser, A Gift for a Woman, really resonated with so many people, clearly millions of people. But I imagine it also cracked something open for you personally. Can you take us behind the scenes of what shifted in your life or work after it went viral?
I never thought about going viral. I was used to receive like 300 views, 400 at the most. And one day I decided to talk from my heart, because I realized that the image that crossdressers have about themselves is that I want a partner that loves me in spite of my, let's say, lifestyle. And for me, it's completely the opposite. There are thousands of women ready to love a crossdresser, not in spite of, but because of they crossdress. They have a special way to connect with emotions, to give themselves permission to feel those emotions. And also they have a special tenderness, a special way to treat women, because they treat women as goddess, really. They adore women. So what's the problem? Why they think that women will not accept them? And part of that, from my perspective, is because women, most women, and that was me some years ago, we never heard about cross-dressing. We thought about cross-dressers as gay men who do drag, so it's more like a performance, and the reality is completely different. It's not about the external appearance, it's about identity. So
Interesting.
I was just sharing my thoughts about relationships with a cross-dresser.
I think you brought up a really good point, as I think that when we are the most honest, and I would say sometimes even most vulnerable, from my experience, even on posting anything that I do, be it either this podcast or just regular content, when I am the most honest and open about what I'm sharing, it seems to get the most engagement, which I find kind of interesting that so many people work so hard to put something out there that may not truly be themselves, but they're just trying to get the numbers. They're trying to get the downloads. They're trying, to get those views. And when you get to be honest and open, I think that's what really connects everyone with you more.
Yes. And sometimes also we are so focused on following all the marketing strategies that we are learning. So it's like, do
Mm-hmm.
this, do that, because this is working. Okay, but this is what everything is doing, and this is not resonating with me.
Yep.
Is my message new? It's not new, but no one was talking about that.
Yeah. It is interesting because when you and I had our chat before, I can honestly say, no, I really hadn't heard, a lot about crossdressers. I knew what crossdressers were. There was nothing. And I think I remember learning about crossdressers kind of at a younger age. I kind of pictured that. I will admit, before I came out and was comfortable, knew that I was gay. I think that for me, I kind of put crossdressers and drag queens in kind of the same group, and then learning that they weren't at all, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, cool, because people are people, and I think that if you are able to express yourself in a specific way, whatever that might be, especially if it's going to make you be feeling you're most comfortable, then I think that's what you need to do.
Yeah. And that happened to me also at the beginning. I thought they were gay, and the vast majority are straight men. Also, I thought, okay, maybe they are transitioning. So they are, in fact, transgender women, and they still don't know they are in the process. And this is true for some of them, but not for the majority of them. They don't
That's
want
very
to
interesting.
do the transition. They just
Yeah.
love women's clothes and feeling that this, or the emotion that the fact of dressing up as a woman, and this is another conversation because I feel that clothes are genderless, but that's a different topic. They give themselves the permission, the internal permission to explore different parts of themselves. And that
Yeah,
was,
for sure. Yeah.
as I said, for me at the beginning was okay. It means that what I thought was not true. Let's start from scratch. Let's unlearn everything I thought it was real and go into the reality of what a cross-dresser is, what cross-dressing means. And that's why I'm so open to always be a podcast guest or to do some workshops, conferences, because educating people for me is the first step to receive acceptance. Sometimes
I agree. I mean, yeah.
when, yeah, I mean, when we don't accept something, most of the time is because we don't know anything about that. And
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
yeah, and this
I
is
truly believe that. Yeah. I mean, I think when we're not educated, we prejudge, and instead we need to take a step back and educate ourselves. So,
and this
yeah,
is so automatic because it's like our primal instinct. Everything that is unknown, everything that is unfamiliar means potential danger. So we have this immediate response to reject. Then it comes the conscious mind, and we understand that, okay, this is not a predator. We are not in danger. Now we can understand that, okay, there is something to learn here. And the more different people or different communities, different lifestyles I know, the richer I will become. My world also will expand.
for sure. Yeah. So, one of the most powerful things you talk about is how emotional safety matters more than visibility. So, for folks who are starting to explore identity expression, what does emotional safety look or feel like? And why do you believe it's more foundational than being out or seen?
For me, visibility is external. Emotional safety is internal, is deeper. Most of the cross-dressers, the first time they talk with me, they told me, what I appreciate the most is that I can talk to you knowing that this is a non-judgmental space. I feel safe here. Some of them, they told me, this is the first time in 30 years or in 40 years that I share that with a woman, because this is also another interesting point. It's not about being accepted by another crossdresser. When they have the possibility to talk about that in front of a woman, it's like, wow, it's like a completely different universe is opening in front of them. And this emotional safety comes with nervous system regulation. So again, when we feel safe as humans, there is no anxiety, there is no pressure, and then we can expand, we can flourish, we can be creative, we can breathe. Exactly, we
Yes,
can breathe.
exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
reality.
I think for me, a correlation would be, I think for just thinking back, you're kind of what I consider as a safe space is, especially when I was younger, was maybe being at home with my family. And I knew that you always had that safe space. You always knew you could go to your parents. You could always knew that you were going to be in a safe space. I think as we grow older, in some ways, we create a different safe space per se, because be it someone who obviously is a crossdresser may not have that support. And so they have to find that space where they have that safety. And I think that one of the places that obviously I feel a lot of LGBTQ plus people go to are the bars or certain safe spaces, somewhere spaces where like-minded congregate. And so then we can be ourselves, kind of. And I say kind of because, and I had this conversation the other day on a different episode, was that I am not the same person that I was 30 years ago as a gay male. I'm not the same. When I went into the gay bars, I was trying to impress. I wasn't, I was kind of observing a little bit, just kind of seeing what everything was about. But for me, I wanted to wear the right clothes, have the right hairstyle, have everything so people would notice me. And then when I took a step back very quickly after that, I don't even think like 5 years, I kind of sat back and was like, why am I trying to impress them? This is who I am. Let me dress how I want to dress. Let me have the hairstyle how I want to have. If I want to have earrings or not, or whatever it might be, let me express myself as myself. And I think once I got comfortable with myself, I believe for me personally, that's when I was able to be the most comfortable with everyone around me overall.
You said
Sometimes you have
something.
to take a step back a little bit, but
Yeah. So, Jonathan, you said something really interesting about the safety we feel at home. And this is an idea that I use quite often. The idea of working with me. So, my focus is not about them coming out, because for some of them, this is their desire, but for most of them, no, they don't feel safe enough. So, it's not about coming out, it's about coming home, feel at home, feel safe enough. If this implies coming out, perfect. But this is not the main goal. The main goal is for them to come home.
which is beautiful because I mean, it's kind of like for me when I go home, another example, like when I go home for the holidays, when I get to go and spend time with family and my old friends, it's that coming home, it's that comfortability, it's that breathing. That's like to get a hug from like my best friend that I don't get to see that often. It's just like, okay, cool. Great. I can be myself and everything's good.
And this comes from the early childhood. The first safe space is home. So let's connect with this safety that comes also with love, with tenderness, with compassion, with care, with nurture, with everything, home in capital letters.
All right, we're going to change a little bit because we've been talking about such nice things. Let's switch this a little bit. So let's talk about shame. So many cross-dressers, especially cis hetero men, a deep sense of guilt or secrecy about their identity. So what do you believe is the root of that shame? And how do you help people begin to gently unravel it?
First, by understanding that shame is something created, is not real. And most of the time, I realized that this shame came from early ages, again, from childhood, because most of cross-dressers, they start as children, maybe at the age of 4, 6, 8, at this age, playing with mom's clothes or with some older sister's clothes. So they are like exploring, just playing with this curiosity and this innocence. And then mama came and mama got angry and they start. And I understand mama from the perspective of, okay, I want to protect my children. And the first idea that came to mind is, this is wrong. So don't do that. Forget about putting on my clothes. This is not for you. You are a boy. And this created deep-rooted beliefs in these children, in these little boys. So they grew up with this idea of, okay, I can dress up in silence because this is wrong. So there's something wrong with me. I'm not allowed to share that with anyone. And also with the idea that if I have fun, if I somehow connect with this part of me that makes me feel happy, this is wrong. So I don't deserve, I'm not enough, and all these ideas came. So shame started there at early ages. For the vast majority, again, there is no one unique way to be a crossdresser. Like there is no one way to be a gay man. So I'm talking about the majority.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think because we're all so different and we've all had different experiences. Like some people, I mean, I know that, I mean, I personally never explored with anything, trying on my mom's clothes or whatever. That just wasn't, I just didn't. But, in my just kind of thinking on the spot, just I kind of feel like one of the lead up to that shame is the fact that we don't let children just be children. Because just because they dress up doesn't necessarily mean a few things. It doesn't mean they're going to be gay. That doesn't mean they're going to be a crosser. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means they're exploring. Because children have simple minds. They're not thinking, oh, let me try on mom's dress because I want to be a crossdresser one day, or I'm going to be this one day. No, we're not thinking about that. Kids don't think that way at all. They're just, it's that free thinking, which is unfortunate. We lose that as we get older. And I think one of the things that brings me back to childhood thinking and that simplicity and that enjoyment. And this is kind of funny to say this because even it is and it doesn't, because yesterday I did a post about this, but the holidays, Christmas makes me think of simplicity and happiness and joy. And what did I experience as a child? That happiness with seeing the tree lit at the first time, or seeing, opening that present for the first time. And I think when you get that overall simple thinking, I think for me now, especially because I have a 17-month-old niece, I am so excited to see her reactions this year, this holiday season, because last year she was a little too young, so it didn't really mean anything to her. But this year she's going to be just shy of a few months of turning 2. So I think it's going to be just so much more fun experience. And I think when you get to see that genuine enjoyment and that genuine willing to experience however she's going to experience it, I think that's what we all should always be able to experience, no matter what it is in life. We're going to learn the good or the bad overall. Like, let's be real. I think I joke that I think I touched a stovetop once and only once. It burned me. Boom. That was great. Did never touch it again. As a child, we learn these things. And I think when that shame comes in from a parent saying you can't do this, or you can't do this, it is going to have effects in the long term because you've told that child no, 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 no. And why not just say, okay, but let me know. I don't even know how a parent should react, but I just think that, or how they could continue on the conversation, unless the child brings up, well, what does this mean that I like wearing clothes? Or what is this, children are a little sometimes, smart aleck sometimes as well. But I think that if you just let them be themselves.
And again, this is not that parents want to make their children feel guilty or shameful. They do it thinking that this is the right thing. Because, okay, if my child starts doing certain things, maybe society will not accept them, or they will be criticized, judged, misunderstood. So somehow the intention is to protect them. We do the best we can as parents.
Oh, for sure. I mean, to look at and I've seen this full circle in front of, like, with my mom, grandma saying how my sister is raising her daughter, and my sister has had to pipe in and say, hey, by the way, that was 40 something years ago, or in my case 50 something years ago. Life's different, things are different. We don't do things the same way. Technology has changed, processes have changed. You don't even diapers, something as simple as a diaper is not even the same that it was like 10 years ago. So it's something as simple as changing a diaper has changed. And so it's like things evolve and things change. Most of the time it's for the good. But yeah, I think that if you can guide, you should, and it's hard to say this because obviously I'm not a parent. I know you are, but I'm not a parent. But I've seen from my friends who are parents, we kind of do learn from our parents, and our parents learn from their parents. It goes down on the line. A lot of times kids will always say, well, I'm not going to be like my parent. I'm not going to be like what my parents told me to do or how they raised me. And I think some ways there's nothing wrong with that. But I also think you should maybe take it with a little grain of salt. Say, hey, maybe they did teach me something, even though in the case of like cross-dressing, just a child, I get the protection, but I would rather worry if they're consistently wanting to do it, then take them aside and say, hey, maybe we don't do this all the time at school, or maybe we don't act this way, but even that is hard to say because you want your child to be themselves. And when they can't be themselves, then they put up a shield and then they are not, or a mask in the case of imposter syndrome, which, yeah, I mean, we do it and everybody does it, not just the queer community, everybody does it. But I think that if we go to that extreme, we're just asking for trouble down the line and frustrations and potentially things even worse, be it suicide, be it something as awful as we're unfortunately prevalent here, especially in the United States, is school shootings because a kid was bullied and because of how they were different. And I think for me personally, what's so wrong about being different? We weren't meant to be all the same.
Yeah. And this comes together with one of the essential needs, belonging. We all want to belong. If belong means I get to suppress what I am, okay, let's do that. This is survival mode, Jonathan. So imagine.
Yeah.
I've learned that maybe something's wrong with me. So, okay, let's pretend to be different in order to be accepted. Acceptance is and belonging is more important than authenticity. That's what we created at some point in our lives. That's not the truth, but that's what we created in order to survive, in order to belong, in order to, just be.
Yeah. So you shared that one of your clients once said that I finally feel seen without being sexualized. And, that stopped me in my tracks. Why do you think that distinction is so rare and so healing for the people that you work with?
Because again, the message for cross-dressers connected with support, love, understanding is so rare. What I thought at the beginning about cross-dressing is the same that you were shared before. It was connected with drag, it was connected with performance, with also night lifestyle, or just movies, only the external thing, and sex involved. There is no, okay, fetish is a part of that, but it's only a small part. Cross-dressing is about identity, is about who they are, is much deep, and is deeper, is bigger than only the sexual part of that. Is also sensuality, intimacy, emotions. Some of them, I remember that at the very beginning, I asked them, how do you feel when you dress up? And the answer I was receiving the most was, I feel complete.
Nice.
I feel whole. My daily activities expanded. I feel more creative. I feel more. So this is not about fetish. This is not about sex. This is something much, much deeper. This is the essence. This is really the core foundation of every person.
Nice.
And the general message around cross-dressers is not this one. That's why I came back to the idea how important education is.
For sure. Yeah. So your coaching doesn't just focus on confidence. You go deeper into something that you call wholeness. So what's the difference in your experience between building confidence and reclaiming a full sense of self?
You know, Jonathan, sometimes confidence feels like something we learn. Somehow we force to, let's say, okay, let's be brave and do that. And on the other side, wholeness comes from within. It's like, no, this is who I am. I'm not pretending to be brave. I'm not pretending to accept myself. I am accepting every part of me. This is wholeness for me. Is this feeling complete that I just
Mm,
shared with you? Feeling
yeah.
whole, feeling me. So, what do they feel when they dress up? They feel themselves. They feel home. And for me, this is wholeness.
Very
Sometimes
nice.
we are more familiar with the word confidence. And sometimes
Mhm.
I also use that and I say that I am a confidence coach for cross-dressers, but the reality is deeper.
I think, like, for me, I use confidence, especially because for me, my focus is like career coaching. So when I use confidence with my clients, it's more because they need to gain that confidence back to apply for those jobs, to have that confidence to be themselves in an interview, to be, to make sure they're qualified for the job, to, and if they are qualified, to not put up that or not feel that self-doubt that they're not qualified for the job, even though they are fully qualified for the job, or a promotion or whatever that might be. And it goes along with even just being LGBTQ plus, to have that confidence to go into the room or to be on a Zoom or whatever it is for an interview, and that you can be who you need to be. You can't always be, share, I guess you could say, the whole deck of cards. You can't share your whole, obviously you don't want to share your whole, I guess, life in an interview per se, but you need to make sure that your confidence is strong enough that when you go in for an interview, you can read the room well enough to know that, is this, number one, the right job for me?
Mhm.
Now, my teaching of a client is do the research on the company prior to getting into that interview or even applying for the job, because there are so many companies, unfortunately, now, thanks to the state of everything, that you may not have that safety. You may not have that comfortability, and you may have to step back and not fully be yourself in the workplace. And it's that, to me, is so unfortunate and sad, because I feel that when people are themselves or get to feel, whole, that they're the best employee, they're the best worker, they're the one who's going to be the most productive. And it's unfortunate that we're in a state of the world, right? And it really isn't just in the United States, it's in the world. It's affecting the whole world. That when you don't get to be who you want to be and share who you are, I think you struggle, and you're not going to probably ever get that promotion because you don't feel that confidence. You don't feel that you're qualified. And I believe that when we get over this hump, and it's going to happen, we're not going to always be like this in the state of how we're dealing with everything right now. I believe it's just, to me, it's funny that what does the sexual orientation of someone or how someone might be, what they do, either, to put it bluntly, in the bedroom or when they're at home, what does it have to do with their work life? It
Exactly.
doesn't. It doesn't. It has nothing to do with it. I mean, unless you're, I don't know, I can't think of any job that would affect you because of who you are. It doesn't matter. If you're the most qualified for the job and you're qualified just in general to the job, who cares if you have girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, if you're a crossdresser or whatever it might be, who cares? If you're getting the job done at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So just my little
Jonathan,
2 cents.
you remind me about a conversation I had with one of my clients this week about, because he was telling me why it seems that the world is now against us. It's like we are like the enemy number one. What happened? So, and my understanding of that is that the LGBTQ plus community in general, not only cross-dressers, are now appearing like, yes, like the enemy, not because of their weakness, but because of their strength, their power,
Mhm.
because they are standing up and saying, this is me against anything, or regardless, this is me, this is my real me.
and why it's even more important why we don't back down. And so many people have stepped back. And I understand for some it's safety, and I get that. But I kind of expect a little bit those who we look up to are the ones in the community that they're the ones who need to really step up, because not everyone is going to be able to be represented if they happen to live in a small town, or if they live, in a country that is very anti-LGBTQ plus. Just have to, sometimes we have to rely on those, good or bad, that are in a better space to make their voice heard. And I think when those voices keep going is what is going to stop the craziness that's going on right now. So, but all right. So I only have one more question for you that you got to prepare for. You're welcome. Oh, and I like this, and I'm excited to actually do a little bit more diving on this as well. I didn't get to do as much as I would like. Girl School. So it sounds like such a soulful project. Can you tell us about it, how it's different from other online spaces that are focused on gender expression or personal growth?
The thing is that there is not much focus to help cross-dresser community. And I chose this specific name of Girl School because I want them to feel safe in this community space where they can be girls and they can experience what it is to be a girl, not only to dress like a girl, but okay, let's play, let's have fun. So it's not only about makeup and fashion and clothes. It's also about connecting with tenderness and being accepted. It's about having permission to cry if they want to cry, because boys don't cry,
Yeah.
Is this okay? Let's make it normal. Girls, we grow up having permission to explore what it means to be a girl and to explore with clothes and femininity and all that. Boys don't. So
Mm-hmm.
let's give cross-dressers this space to learn what does it mean to be a girl and to have fun during the process. And I created this as a 6-month process because I want them to enjoy every single step. It's not about, okay, let's do it very fast. And in 3 weeks, you will be a completely different person. No, it's not about that. I want them to enjoy every single step and to understand the foundation of this step and release the shame, release the guilt, do the healing. And this takes time. This takes time. It's so, how can I say, satisfying for me also to have the opportunity to work with them. I mean, I love them. The way they come to me with that innocence, because I see in them this innocence from childhood that is still there, hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And when they can just come in front of me and say, this is who I am. And finally, I feel free to talk about that with someone. Jonathan, some of them, they told me, my spouse doesn't know, my friends don't know. I was hidden this lifestyle for decades, maybe 30 years, 40 years. Can you imagine living like that? So the moment
No,
they,
personally, no.
exactly, the moment they find a space where they can breathe, it's like, okay, the whole wall expands. So it's like, okay, finally, there is a place for me. There is a community. I belong here. I am accepted, understood, heard, supported, and celebrated. That's Girl School.
Awesome. And I agree. It's like the length of the program, it makes sense, because I will admit, when I got into coaching, I was like, how long do you know a program's supposed to go? How long do I know that I'm working with someone on,
Yeah.
I'm kind of revamping again what I'm working on right now. Now, part of it is why I changed it is because just the state of everything right now. Our job market's kind of gross, and it's unfortunate the way everything is working, at least here locally in the United States. And one thing we talked about briefly was confidence. Well, that's one of the things I'm focusing on, is like getting that confidence back, because there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that have gone quite a long period of time without a job, and they're wondering, what the heck, what's wrong? What did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong? And I think when I come in and able to sit there and look at everything that they've done, be it their resume, their LinkedIn profile, whatever that might be, and I can say, okay, well, as an expert, I can sit there and see that, well, let me look at your resume. Okay, well, this is why this is wrong. This is why you're not getting the bites. This is why the recruiters aren't looking at you. This is why, you might not, you probably need to take away this or maybe add this into it. And I think that I go along with the confidence, but then now helping people finding their purpose again. Because there's a lot of people that are changing complete industries, what they used to work in. I had someone the other day that I chatted with that is a pharmacy tech. She works in a pharmacy, but she was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I need to do something else. And I was like, all right, well, what do you want to do? Oh, I'm not exactly sure. I said, okay, well, let's chat because I can help you find that purpose, because it's going to take a little bit. But if you know what you want to do, which is, even, let's take a step back in general, as us as children, they always ask us in school, what do you want to be when you grow up? Here's the deal. There was no such thing as podcasting back when I was in younger school. This didn't exist. So it's funny to know that, my dad was a doctor. I didn't want to be a doctor. I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
But did I know what I wanted to be? I initially thought I wanted to be a photographer. But then I was like, well, how am I going to build a living off of that? How am I going to do that? I think the sad thing is we think too much about money and what's going to help us live, where it comes back to, it's more important for you, in my opinion, to do things that you love or that you might have a passion for. And now you can't always do that, and I get that. But if you have an expertise in something, or you have a passion like me doing this podcast, the good thing for me with the podcast is it does incorporate my coaching. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very fortunate that I get to meld them together. But that's not always the case with people. But there are people who want to be artists, or there are people who want to be an actor. Soon I'm going to talk to someone who is a talent agent in Hollywood and how he helps people get jobs. I mean, there's always jobs out there for the most part in all the different types of industries. And you just have to, sometimes you just need that connection to get in the door and then
Mm-hmm.
to prove yourself. But I think for me, my changing and focusing on purpose and confidence is what I just had to do, just because of the way the world is right now. And am I going to change again? Very possibly. Who knows? I mean, I don't know what the future holds. All I know is that I'm doing what I love to do, and I love helping people. And so at the end of the day, that's, as long as it's bringing in the ability for me to live, how I want to live,
Mm-hmm.
that's all that matters.
Yes. And I feel that this is one of the great discoveries of this century, that we can do what we love to do. I
Hmm.
remember having this conversation with a teenager maybe couple of years ago. She was telling me, I don't know what to do with my life. So I don't know. I don't imagine myself as an adult working. I don't know what I love to do. And I said, okay, what do you love right now? Don't focus on something that will bring me money. No, what do you
Hmm.
love? And she
Exactly.
told me, I love listening to people. So can you imagine, as a coach, the importance of deep listening?
Oh,
And for her,
100%.
it was natural. So,
Yeah.
okay, can you imagine the huge amount of people that they just want to be heard and supported? So, think about that as a gift.
Hmm.
And
Oh my
of
goodness.
course,
Yes.
listening to people can bring you money. Yes, you don't need a degree to make money,
No.
you just need passion. So, I
And the
completely
drive
agree.
and the drive and the action, you need to take
Yes,
the action to
yes,
get it,
sure.
to do, because I will admit, I don't know if you and I chatted about this, but when I got into coaching, I got my certified, and you don't have to get certified. I did it because I wanted the knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and for me, the education to learn. But I did that 5 years ago. It took me 5 years, I would say 4 years, to finally click and go, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where I need to die. This is the right, I had to get in that right. And something else I help focus on with my clients, I had to get in the right mindset. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
ready yet to be a coach. I wasn't ready for myself to put myself out there to, especially at this point, share with the LGBTQ plus community, to be able to say, hey, guess what? I'm one of you and I want to help you. Because I think there are other LGBTQ plus coaches out there, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily always helping the people in their own community. And there's nothing wrong with that overall. But I feel that sometimes maybe you don't even need to mention that you're
Mm-hmm.
that type, that's who you're a part of the community, unless you really do want to help the community. I just feel that it's something, it's a little kind of an asterisk of information that maybe doesn't necessarily need to be shared
Mhm.
unless you're going to make it a part of your business and your coaching. Then it's
So
understandable. Yeah,
again, is the free will what you want to share and what not.
exactly.
It's not about coming out to anyone, first coming out to yourself, and then decide with whom you will share this information, with whom you want to share this information or not. This
Yeah.
is privacy, this is confidentiality, this is your life.
All right. Well, Maria Elena been had some deep questions and deep answers. Now we're gonna have a little fun. So, all right. So, just these are quick answers. Whatever comes to your mind first. I don't want you to have
Mhm.
to dwell on an answer unless it's going to be it just takes you that long. I had someone who took, I think there was like maybe a minute of dead air when I asked a question to one of my guests, and it was really funny. I was like, we're going to have to go in post production and cut that out because that's a long amount of time to not answer a question. Okay, so what iconic pulp goodness, if I can say it, what iconic pop culture moment do you channel when you need to feel unapologetically fabulous?
What pop moment? Maybe when I was dancing in a disco during my teen ages.
Awesome. I like
Thank
that.
you.
All right. So, and this can be, I'll give you an example if you can't think of exactly
Hmm.
how you want to answer this, but what is one thing that instantly makes you feel powerful and grounded? Be it a ritual, an outfit, a song, anything.
For me, it's being in nature. It can be in the middle of the forest or walking barefoot at the beach, but nature. I need nature around me. I'm not a city person. No.
I'm right there with you. I really am, because for me, I love going to the mountains here. There's just something, it's a calm, you can take that deep breath. You can get away from everything. I think one of the things I love about being here in Colorado is that you get to a certain point or altitude in the mountains, you have no cell phone signal. There's no communication with anyone. And I like the feeling of being disconnected so that you can really enjoy what you're surrounded by.
Let me rethink so let's use another word. This is
Okay.
not disconnection. This is real connection.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it helps me. I mean, I will admit, like for me personally, I do go to the mountains to connect with nature. I think one of the most beautiful experiences I had was going up to one of the peaks we have here and getting away from everyone, because it's kind of unfortunately a big touristy area, and we happened to go to a quieter area, and all you could hear was the wind, and we were at the top of it, so we could see multiple peaks, and it was just whew, I just enjoyed the beauty of everything around me, the sounds, the views, everything. And who knew that it would take me to have to go up 14,000 feet in in the air to enjoy that. But that's just,
Yeah,
how it, came to
nature.
be. But
Yeah. And please don't
so,
ask me if I prefer the beach or the mountains, because I live at the beach in front of the sea near Barcelona area in the
okay.
Mediterranean coast in Spain. And I have the mountains just 40 minutes driving distance. I am in the
Oh,
mountains
nice.
right now in the town I was born, just 100 inhabitants here. So it's like, this is home.
Yeah, for
And
sure. Yeah.
I always had this dichotomy. Okay. And I realized that I need to live near the sea and at the same time having the opportunity to go to the mountains. So it's like I need both.
Well, I understand completely.
Mhm.
I really do, because yeah. I understand that now in the 10 years that I've been here in Colorado, because where we live, we're probably 45 minutes to an hour away from the mountains, like being truly in the mountains, and where you can't see where we live. Like you can't see the city. You're seeing trees, you're seeing wildlife, you're seeing, so that's what I like to. I don't want to be on the edge. I actually want to be truly in the mountains, so I can't really see. So that helps me to really enjoy nature and
Mhm.
enjoy where I'm around. Oh, I mean, I have my preference between beach and mountains, but That's just from experiences in the past. And obviously I moved to a mountainous region for a reason.
Okay,
So
so I know the answer.
I mean, I do love the feet in the sand. It is an amazing feeling. Funny thing is I can just go south in Colorado and go to the sand dunes. We have a big huge desert area. It's desert and mountains all in one.
Great.
But haven't gone there yet. Can't believe in 10 years I haven't been down there, but not yet. Soon. All right. So, who's your unexpected style or energy icon? Meaning someone who inspires your vibe, even if they're totally outside your world.
Oh my goodness, someone inspiring me. What just came to my mind right now, and this is a quote sometimes I use when I do a speaking gig, talking, educating around the LGBTQ plus community. And it's a quote from Mother Teresa. She said, if you are busy judging people, you don't have time to love them. And every time I need some inspiration, I come back to this quote. And this is what just came to my mind right now.
Awesome. You also shared that quote with me. I remember in our first conversation, you shared that. And I remember reading that and I was like, I love that quote. And of course, it came from Mother Teresa. Like, of all the people, I was like, that's amazing. I was like, which is really fascinating to me to know that we probably are going to have generations who have no idea who she is. And she was such an inspiration. I feel very fortunate to be living how in this time period that I got to, experience her compassion, her love, and her message that unfortunately, a lot of people aren't going to probably ever be able to experience that. Okay. So I will admit, so I hope you had fun. Those are a little thinking, a little bit more than. So for my listeners, what key piece of advice or actionable tip could you leave them with today?
Remember the quote from Mother Teresa. You know, one of the things that I discover is that we don't need to fully understand a person to love them. We don't need to accept everything from a person to love them. Love is a choice. And for me, it makes no sense to judge people, to criticize, to think that I am better than anyone else. We are all different and we are all the same. If we remember that, we can learn so much and we can live with so much freedom, Jonathan. So for me, this is life. Life is about love.
I love that. And I agree with you 100%. So I want to thank you, Maria Elena, so much for doing this. This has been really fun. And I still feel humbled. And I've said this, I think, on every time I've done either speaking with you prior to the recording or even, during the recordings of these interviews, is that I'm so humbled and thankful for the amount of people that reached out that wanted to be a part and share their message and what they do. And because I feel that we're not sharing enough, I think people need to really be, as we've talked about it multiple times, be educated to learn about everything. We can't all be experts, but I feel we need to take this a step and learn about those that might be different, that might, unfortunately, good or bad, be a part of, the marginalized community. Because I feel that the more that we learn, the more that we can respect those people.
And also, life becomes more interesting when we understand that we don't know anything and we allow themselves to learn, to be curious, to come back to this childhood innocence and be in awe with anything. So, Jonathan, my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I had an amazing time with you. So, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. You are very welcome. It's been such a pleasure. Maria Elena reminded us that healing isn't about fixing something that's broken. It's about gently reclaiming the parts of ourselves that we've been taught to hide and choosing to love them instead. So, listeners, if this episode resonated with you, I invite you to sit with what came up. Maybe it's time to ask yourself, where am I still performing? And where do I get to come home to myself? You can connect with Maria Elena and learn more about her work. She has many links that I'm going to put in the show notes of where you can find her. And I just hope that if you're someone that's navigating career, confidence, and identifies an LGBTQ plus professional, I'd love to support you. You can find me on all the platforms at JMB Coaching LLC, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, my full name, Jonathan Barbe, at LinkedIn. And if this episode moved you, don't keep it for yourself. Share it with a friend, leave a review, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. And, if you're serious about leveling up, about your career journey, make sure you're subscribed to Empowered and Out. We've got more expert advice coming your way. So until next time, stay proud, stay empowered, and we will see you back here soon.